Hello and welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that little bit of footage there. So as you can see, since the last video, there's been quite a bit of tidying up going on the railway, and we've got the much talked about 01 unit in there. So we're going to have a bit of a try with that before I dismantle the entire railway. So it's going to give me the options to be quite brutal with the wire work and install the accessory modules, which I'm hoping to do to control some of, if not all of the point work. We'll see how we get on with that. There's no real sort of fixed plan with it. It's just to see what can be achieved. I imagine the problems that persisted with this back when it was new are still present today. I don't imagine they'll have got any better with age. So also the track's in much worse condition than it would have been out of the factory back in the early 80s. So I'm quite looking forward to playing with that. So it has been about 2 weeks since I made that last video, and a bit of footage we've just seen there with the 31st of March today. So I have got that unit in which we saw in a video nearly a year ago now, where I had a couple of models with their tops off, charging around the layout, playing with the inertia control and things. So, and I think as I've shown in a video relatively recently, I've got this unit, which is a second one I've got, which has got a very yellowed fascia, and I've serviced the keypad on that one. As it turns out, this has got a much nicer action on the keypad than the one on the railway at the moment. I had intended to use this one just for testing over here, but I'm thinking now I might service the keypad on this one and see if I can make improvements. It's sort of a nothing to lose really. So I'm thinking I'll give that a go. So we might have the discoloured one over here for a while, and I do have a slave unit and the handheld, which we can get in there, but this is still quite early days with this lot, so it has just been fiddling. So I haven't done any of the sort of point work. So they did make some little wire clips to make the points live, so we have power everywhere, or I can alternatively just run some feeds to the appropriate parts of the track to make some of it live where it's necessary. So it's not really necessary on all of it, because the chances of me wanting to shunt up and down here while something's running over here are probably quite slim anyway. Again, the turntable, I've made some way to converting that. I've put a little motor controller in there. If you have a look at the little drop-in picture there, you can see the type of unit I've used there. So quite a cost-effective unit that I've been having a fiddle with. Came from eBay. So I'll leave details of that in the box below, in the description box below. I've got the B17 there, and I've isolated the rails, not isolated, or insulated the rails on the inlet track so it doesn't short out. So that works quite effectively. So I think what we'll do is just jump the other side and we'll have a quick look at it. See, we're now on the other side, and there's some of those little clips I was talking about. These are still used today in contemporary DCC, I think, for very basic setting up of layouts. So I think probably a more successful route can be found to making that, to solving the problem of using that perhaps. What else? Some of the curved points, and it looks like some of the straight points, not all of them, but some of them, but all of the curved points needed a little bit of isolation here, just taking off a bit there. Could be done with nail varnish, or in this case I've used some very sticky black paper tape. It's only sticky on one side, obviously. I've done it on there and there, and the curve point number 1Y on the far side over here has also needed it doing. It was quite a sudden stop each time you ran a locomotive over there. It shorted out. What else? So yeah, the undersides of here have been isolated. If you look at the diagram there, it suggests using a little bit of tape which came with the modules, or any type of tape would have done. I actually just tried a little bit of nail varnish under that one. Could have used it on the points, but I didn't. I've used it under there. It seems to work quite well. I'm not sure whether it'll wear away in time. And then also, since the last video I've been fiddling, I know we showed this HST, I put an LED conversion in there, and I think that's quite effective. So I've got the lamps on all the time while it's standing on the rails. I can't get my head around making it directional with this, I'm sure it is possible, but I just haven't come up with a way of doing it, or I'm not entirely sure it's necessary for a toy train. Just lights on is quite nice. So let's give that a little bit of a run. So I think we're locomotive 16, so there we go, and we're already in forward, so that should run forward. Let's give that a go. So I'm not pointing in. He says that should run forward. Let's try that again. Locomotive 16. Enter. And now that should run forward. There we go. Let's give that a charge around there. Just bring that to a stop at the station there. So that's locomotive number 16. There are only 16, theoretically, 16 modules or locomotives you can have associated with the controller. You could, of course, have some isolated sections of the track, or 2 different districts, perhaps. But I think that's going to be far too complicated, which is one of the reasons I've decided to go with a motor controller on here, or a separate controller for the turntable, just so I can free up an extra chip. And again, this point controller is as original at the moment, or as I originally had it, with a capacitor discharge unit, and it's got its separate power supply down here. I am going to put in the accessory modules, which we also saw me having a bit of a fiddle with in a video in the past. So I think when I get around to putting some of those in, we'll have a look at those on the board, how they're working on the bench. And we'll also have a look at the traditional solenoid point motors with the capacitor discharge unit on the bench, because I know some people have asked to see how they're wired up. I'll show how I wire them up. It's not necessarily how they should be wired up, because there is always another way to do these things. So I think we'll bring the HST away from the station again. We'll bring it around again. So let's turn around nice and gently and see if we can get this to run round. So this has been sticking a little bit on the diamond crossing. It's more temperamental running off this chip than you might think. And around it comes. And under the bridge. It's quite an odd action, that slider switch, getting used to how things move when you move it up and down. So I think we'll get used to that. So let's open points 1B. So they're the ones we replaced last video. So that should run into the station now, we think. Let's give that a go. So again, it has shorted out a little bit on some of these points. Some of these points are going to need some attention to make this run. So I've got the point set incorrectly there. It's going to drive straight into the class 37. So let's reverse the direction. So 5B, that's the one. We'll have a look at it through. Yeah, so one accessory module will do 4 points. However, you need to double up on the modules for the crossovers, the points that run as crossovers, I think I mentioned before. So let's change the direction on that. I don't know whether that point's set correctly there. Yeah, 2 is, that'll go across the diamond, and 1Y, you can tell this is terribly well planned. 8R, we need to open 8R. Sorry about that sudden wander around the room, so let's open 8R. There was something of a secondary clunk I wasn't expecting to hear there. So let's go this way around, and it's a little stickier on the diamond this way around, I have noticed. So let's give that some power. Yeah, the silver seal wheels jump up and down, or not silver seal wheels I suppose, but the metal wheels in the chassis blocks tend to jump up and down, especially on this point. They really tend to clatter on that one. So let's bring that back into the station, I think. So one more go into the station. Let's get a gentle stop there. You can hear that chatter coming from the motor when you run it down really slow. And then we'll bring that to a stop. Let's just make it crawl back the other way. Let's have a look at the front end of it. So you can get a bit of a crawl, but you do tend to get a bit of a stall with it as well on the point work like that. Then there isn't really many pickups on this, and they are diagonal across. So you've got two wheels on one side and two wheels on the other side. So they're quite close together, the two wheels. So yeah, so they're spaced just like that. And that on both sides, so the chances of non-pickup are quite high with this model, really, I suppose. So let's swap the points there, number 5B. So we'll look at the point rather than the switch, perhaps. And then we'll go for locomotive number 1. So let's give that a go. So locomotive 1, enter. Yes, I remember why that clonks on there. It collides with the point motor. I'd forgotten about that. I think that's the bogie frame is colliding with the point motor there. Let's just run that backwards and have another look. Let's have another look. I remember running this model in the past and perhaps having definitely something clunking there, isn't there? Ah, it's the side, it's this. The either fuel tank or battery box, I think, can collide perhaps with that. So let's give that a go. I'm sure we had some fun with that, something happening with that there in the past. So let's have another look at that. Yeah, there's always something. So let's run that one back again. And let's run that back around. Again, that diagonal style pickup on here. And we'll bring that right in behind the HST. There we go. Sorry, just hiding behind that there. So let's have a quick look over here. So if I now select locomotive number 2, enter, and if we open Actually, we're already open, so I think if I select forward, that B17 should roll up onto the turntable. There she goes. Although with this slider switch, trying to get it to stop is becoming it sort of has overrun on it. I don't know whether that's electrically caused or just that I'm misusing the slider switch. Let's see if it will crawl up there. There we go, so that's just hanging over, but I think we've got away with that. So there is that new motor controller I've put in there, very basic thing. I think I've said I'll leave details of that in the description box already, but let's give that a go. I can't remember which direction we're set on here. I think we should probably go the other direction. So this is all sort of a learning curve. I can't remember which way things go, so let's run that the other way round. So let's give that a little power and see if she'll climb off the bridge. There we go. So let's just see if we can get a little crawl backwards on that, and I think that's probably about it today. Again, you can hear that chatter from the motor. So the tender is hardwired on this one anyway, so even with the 0-1 cabling, I had a cable running between the two on here. And then let's just go forwards a little. Let's see how we can come down the front here. I'll swing the camera around and just have a... So I'm sorry about that. Just as I was trying to flip the camera around, it switched off, so there was a break in the recording there. So I think the button on the gimbal must be doing something peculiar. Normally you just double tap it and the camera rotates. So let's try that going the opposite direction. You hear that wonderful chatter coming from the motor. So let's see if we can get in tight on that valve gear, see if it's going to lock up. So it's usually when it goes backwards, this model, that we get a lock in the wheels on the main part of the locomotive. But not doing that bad at all. There we go. I think that's enough of that. We'll switch that off. I'm going to attempt to rotate the camera around again. Let's see if it switches off or not. Now that's what's supposed to happen. But I think we'll just finish off with a swift look at the box that this 0-1 unit came in. I know somebody spotted it sitting under the layout a while ago, but it's been kicking around for a while. So fairly faded box. I think it's been damp at times. It seems to have had some tape fixing it on the corner. Lovely picture of the unit on the front. So various legends written in here, specially designed by Hornby Railways for use with 0-1 locomotives and point modules. I think I've read that correctly. R950 master control unit. So there's some lovely pictures on it. You can see a bit more tape damage on the corners there. Let's see if we can have a look at the back of it. Let's see if we can get this without too much glare on it there. So it says total locomotive control. So this really is the forerunner of the modern systems available. So up to 4 locomotives can be controlled simultaneously. Any 4 can be selected out of 16 possible. So there are ways of getting around the 16, I think. But I think 16 is all I'm going to need to have a play with this over the next couple of months or so. Realistic train operations, points and accessory control. This is all a bit close quarters, isn't it? permanent power in track. So we've got 18 volts AC in the track, and loco and coach lighting remains illuminated even when trains are stationary. So it's a constant power in the track, as we've seen with the HST. So it's another good reason to put the LEDs in, so we're not getting too much heat perhaps there. There's a nice simple wiring diagram, just 2 wires to the track. So thanks again for watching. If you look back again next time, we'll have something else from the range to have a look at. Goodbye now.